Hi guys, long time no see. I hope you're all well and recovering a little bit from all the chaos and changes. Admittedly, it feels really weird recording class like this. I feel kind of self-conscious, but we're gonna try and do our best. I want to keep these video lectures short-ish, just like a space to kind of interface and maybe read a few of the poems from the readings, give you a little bit of insight or ideas that I'm having about the themes. And then also I'll give you guys a writing exercise in the weekly lecture videos as well. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about using these for. So I know I'm not asking you guys to give me proof or whatever of your reflections from the babies. I would rather just kind of move forward. But since you did read the other half of it and we haven't talked about it really at all, I thought maybe just read like one of the poems from it and talk about, I don't know, just kind of close it out. So I'm gonna read the first out of the interviews on page 45 in the Walter B. interviews section. Okay, so once you said that when you scratched at the mole on Walter B.'s neck, you could hear the goat song. What did you mean by that? I meant that the meats must first be boiled and then sliced. That's all I meant. Can you describe for me your years with Walter B.? I used the rake to take care of most of it. Walter B. provided me with enough index cards to account for the rest. At night we would lean against the stove, and in the morning, when the collector arrived, we would go with him. According to Walter B.'s last notes, form mimics disease. What did he mean by that? Since Walter B.'s disgrace, it has become impossible for me to say how certain things happen. Did Walter B. keep any animals? He destroyed them all to save himself the disappointment. Though you must understand, I continued to love Walter B., despite this, as one loves a child who has taken the place of another. In the new pastoral, Walter B.'s mama writes, I amused myself with his head in the Hat District. If not for Walter B.'s mama, the final assemblage could have been easily avoided. Can you describe for me the final assemblage? It was almost daybreak. A small piece of muscle fell from Walter B.'s mouth. This was the first real news of extinction. At first, I tried not to look at it or think about its sadness. It was the collector at the end who buried it in the dirt with the others. Even then I knew, as you know now, it would return, like Walter B. would return over and over again. I wanted to lie down next to it and wait for its soft directions. But were you afraid? Oh, but you were afraid? I was afraid. This was the very beginning, as I said, of the extinction. A woman couldn't lie down next to a small piece of muscle without knowing she had, at that very moment, risked everything. This might seem difficult to believe, but I was such a human being once. I had a kind of feeling living among Walter B. Can you sing for me a little of the ghost song? Zoog zwang, zoog zwang, zoog zwang. So, these are weird, right? These interviews, these characters who are Beatrice, right, and Walter B. that kind of come into this late end of the book, they're rising up in a world of collapse, right? In Sabrina O'Rourke's next book that she writes, she makes a kind of world of reparation where they can live. So these characters sort of keep living in that other book. But in this book where she's trying to see identity of descendants of World War II survivors and to imagine all these people who would have been a part of her generation but were never born, right? It sort of immediately moves into disintegration, into ruin, the imagining of these almost people who could never be. So the attempt itself is falling apart, and its world where these poems live is totally volatile and crumbling. Um, yeah, so it's also just beautiful and strange, like the muscles falling out of the mouth. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this book. I don't want to linger on it for too long. I just wanted to have a little moment to, I don't know, acknowledge the fact that we read it. And then I had one more thing to read just from Sabrina Ora Mark herself, the writer, what she said about the prose poem. This is actually when she was in her MFA program, because this is one of her really early works. And she was talking about finding form. She said, "I was standing with all these sticks in front of a field, and I had to start a fire or build a house. The prose poems allowed me to do both." I would just really like that, I don't know, as a way to think about the prose poem and what it offers, and how it's functioning in this book. So, I don't know, just some food for thought. Okay, before we get into sitemap, which we will get into a little bit, I wanted to give you guys your writing prompt. So here it is. Let me find it. It's related to sitemap a little bit. So I wanted to give you something that's kind of to do with some of the stuff that Brian Tier is doing in this book. So I was thinking in the way that he talks about plants and birch trees and things like that. And I thought it would be maybe interesting for you guys to pick a plant, no flowers, especially not roses, but maybe a tree or a kind of bush or a vine or a grain even, a grass. So to choose some kind of plant material and take a second to look up some details about it, its anatomy, the environment it grows in, maybe the patterns in the leaves, things like that, and see if that can take you anywhere metaphorically or imagistically in a poem. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to do that, and per tradition, I'm going to play some kind of music for you while you do it. So go ahead and write. While I look for a song, let's see.
Hey, it's me. I just got off the train. Frightening place. The faces are concrete gray, and I'm wondering, should I turn around? Buy another ticket. Panic is coming on strong, so cold, inside out. No grip, German message coming in. You're so small, glassy-eyed light of day, glassy-eyed light of day. Path trails off and hills never mind. Through the dry brook, I don't know where I don't really care. Path trails off and hills never mind. Through the dry brook, I don't know where I lead. I don't really care. feel this love. I feel this love
And stop. Okay, so watch the rest of the video, but after that, if you look on the page, there should be a link to the assignment where you can upload a picture of your writing exercise that you just did, and also some pictures of music's still playing. Hold on. Some pictures of your journal reflection for sitemap. Okay. So yeah, do that when you're done with the video. About sitemap, I don't know, I really wish I could hear your actual thoughts on it. It's such an interesting and strange book. It's a lot more lyric than, well, at least than Sabrina O'Rourke's book, and I would say more concise and abiding more by the sort of machine aspect of poetry than say like Blue Hour was more kind of wandering, right? These feel more succinct, like they're each functioning kind of. So yeah, I think I want to just first read the first poem and then maybe talk about a few of the little themes that are already coming up in that one that are going to keep coming up throughout the rest. And then maybe look at a few more. Yeah. So yeah, let's read the first one. Emerson Susquehanna. I don't know how to say that honestly, but it's a river, the name of a river. The Susquehanna. 1. When we have lost our god of tradition. Not thaw brought to the river, thought, long winter a surface that holds no current or image, and there's language laid down like that, mind, locked in a long walk through the chill of a single word, and there's cattails fraught where water's not any longer, and God's appall called down to the mind the meaning given a life. Once thought, the word makes mind too small. Like Bible-colored Sundays, all study in chalk and exotic, potted palms dotting a holy land, entirely crayon, and the lavender mimeographs leave on the hands. The word God has always been my mother's fingers separating my sister's hair. 3 strands gathered in a braid so tight, white at the parted dark roots stood out. Word, a migraine in its wake. Word endured alone in a room. Shades drawn over pain. Words, a mind's light ingrown, caught, knitted knot snarled upon itself. Sub-zero, months from thaw. We walk. O trees, tremble at the roots of being, underneath, under laws, the order of things, so deeply a violence and unnumbered like the snow. So I think even just in this first one, you can really hear the way that he's playing with sound in these poems a lot. Like, not thought brought to the river, thought, long, winter, a surface that holds no current of image. Okay, so like that awe sound is repeating throughout. Locked in a long walk through the chill of a single word, fraught, where water's not. It's almost like annoying how much the sound is coming up. If he hadn't balanced it as much as he did, I feel like maybe he could have balanced it a little bit more with some other sounds. But anyway, you can hear right off the bat that he's very lyrically inclined.